My firm's called Bionic, and we're a landscape architecture practice. And in the interest of time, I'll just sum it up by saying we have a tendency to attract strange projects, and that's actually what the practice is designed to do. This is an unusual project. Our client is the San Francisco Parks Alliance, and it was part of a EPA grant to study sites and expand what is what's called the Blue Greenway. And if you're not familiar with the Blue Greenway, it's a trail, a network of parks, open spaces, streetscapes from ballpark to ballpark on the eastern edge of San Francisco. So the project I'm going to talk about is this one right here, one of the sites, and that's down in India Basin. If you've never been to India Basin, interesting place. What's probably most unique about it in terms of the Blue Greenway is it's got almost one continuous mile of shoreline to access to what will be the Blue Greenway, and that's highly unusual on the east side of San Francisco. And so we helped the Parks Alliance in a range of ways, large and small, to address the potential of India Basin. So at some of the largest scales, conceptualizing land use, about developing and conceptualizing the relationship of the Blue Greenway to 20,000 people moving to Hunters Point and Candlestick in coming years. At a site scale, there's a lot of overlapping property ownership and interest there, and we've looked at one site in particular called 900 Innes, which is a small historic building, and an interesting kind of post-industrial site. One of the aspects of it was just helping them untie this funky little knot between city agencies and overlapping interests about how to get a bike path today from one side of Hudson Avenue to the other over the water. And so very simple diagrammatic things to help them do their advocacy work, and we found a solution, and it's possible. We've also helped them do some site planning to kind of make an urban waterfront out of that site, figure out the vertical access, and give them a tool to continue to do their advocacy work and organize. The project, the larger site that I want to talk about around India Basin is a 13-acre parcel. Interesting site, and it should be a kind of legacy scale park for the city. And the question we're really grappling with is, how do you build a space that big in an era of austerity in governments and in defunded agencies? And so we really helped them develop a strategy. So the site itself has a lot to work with. It's interesting. I won't go into it. At least kind of sum it up. It's got a lot of assets. It's got a lot of interesting sort of physical qualities and relationships to things that are dynamic in terms of the basin and environmentally, as well as the way the shipyard is going to develop. So we went through this and worked through it very rigorously, like you would any other project. We didn't really, half-ass it because it's a pro bono. Remember, there's a pro bono component to it. So there's a kind of level of analysis, being rigorous about, well, what else is there and what kind of open space should it be, and what the analysis really showed us is that kind of the shipyard and what's existing out there, the passive and active and urban kinds of landscapes, those are taken care of. The large footprint, unusual, kind of outcast activities are the ones that don't really have a place to happen, that don't exist in the rec park portfolio now. Those don't have a place to happen anywhere, and this is a place where they could happen, and that would make it a regional destination and unique within the rec park portfolio. So this is a kind of adventure, kind of solidified into an adventure park program. And in the interest of time, I'll just say it evolved into a kind of composition of a development, a part of the site being developed and a part of the site being kept kind of wild and allowed for a different set of activities. Probably, I think one of the best things that came out of it is a kind of a strategy, a set of 4 strategies to really make this seem reasonable. And it goes something like this. The typical model for building open space is this one on the left, you know, some private, some public, and it happens. And we're saying that we're in an era now where you need to think much more comprehensively about making a large public project happen. So there's 4 strategies. The first one's about leveraging the assets of the site, and each one of the kind of existing site assets turns into a revenue or a savings, and that translates into something that would help thrust the park development forward. I see the cards. I do. The next one is about looking at the kind of broadest possible view of the bay and saying, in transferring impacts and revenues that impacts in other places in the bay would be created and transferring them to this site. So in the interest of time, think of it as kind of cap and trade for landscape. The third strategy was about material transfer and capturing material streams, and so this is capturing materials, species, waste from other large infrastructure projects that will be happening, and transferring them to the site to kind of make its formation. And the result is a really kind of complex composition of ecologies and activities on this site. So if you kind of think about it, each one of these activities has a revenue or a savings. And if you were to think about this in like a kind of perspectival sense, every element really has a source of either what paid for it or where it came from. And I'd say that this is actionable, and we've shortly after we finished the project, some of the sites became available. We helped the Parks Alliance with their advocacy work. This is on the right-hand side is the executive director and Supervisor Wiener and members of the Park Commission, and we helped them organize this event, walk them through, coordinate them, and even kind of create publications to help them explain the project.